Huge trend in the industry, like I just shared in my keynote, is the blockchain space. It's growing exponentially, and it's getting very, very invested in the community management space. And so a perfect segue into our next speaker, who's gonna go a little bit deeper into what does community management actually look like in this space. How does it work, and how might it impact your work as community managers? She's a Forbes 30 under 30 in consumer technology. She's a founder of Savvy Millennial. She's been featured in NBC, BBC, Wall Street Journal, CNBC, CNET, The Verge, and many more. Please give a big CMX welcome to Savannah Peterson.
This is great. I think that every conference should start like that. Thank you, David, and the team. Actually, speaking of things that every conference should do, who's digging the food? Like, I have never been fed so well in my life, and it's unfortunate this is only 3 days long. So thank you for that. Real quick, just because it's still morning and I can tell people are sipping coffee, I want you to turn to the person to your right and give them a high five. And turn to the person on their left and give them a high five. Yes. All right. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Now we got some energy, digging it, feeling it, loving it. We're actually going to talk about digital handshakes, so it's kind of cool that we just did those high fives. Before I get into this, how many people, and be honest, it's okay because I'm going to teach you, how many people think they could describe blockchain technology? I saw you all at the Birds of a Feather table yesterday. That was great. Thanks for showing up. Perfect, perfect. How many people have been paid in a cryptocurrency? Ooh, okay. Ironically, that was almost more of you than could describe blockchain. So I think that's great, actually, because one of my points I'll make is once we start talking about blockchain, it'll actually become mass adoption. But we're in that very early phase right now. And I say that because before I go through all of this, I just want to ease your fears that you might be too late. You're not too late. There are only a few people who have made considerable amounts of money leveraging the early days of cryptocurrency. But that does not mean you have missed the boat at all in terms of learning about blockchain and how it could potentially apply to the business that you work in now or one that you work in the future. So don't feel bad. If you have any questions throughout this, please do tweet me. This is the only slide with my handle on it, except for the last one, so this is your moment. I'll wait. I like good tweets. Best tweet wins. Starting off, blockchain is literally a digital ledger of transactions that are chronologically and publicly recorded. It's kind of like an old school library book. When you would go in and check out a book, they stamp the date, you could see when it was recently checked out before. It's not much more than that. I think when we talk about blockchain right now in the media, it's very much framed to be something around high-risk digital assets. And the reality is, blockchain technology itself is actually quite nerdy. It's a digital handshake, it's a hello between two nodes of information, two blocks, that then exchange that information in a secure way. Crypto comes from cryptography, and it's really just encoded messaging. So blockchain is a more secure, more transparent way of communicating information. And that information can be financial information, it could be community information, it could be personal data, it can really be anything, but it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. And the other thing you should know about blockchain up front is it's actually probably gonna affect the least sexy parts of your life and of your business. So like, I have dreams that blockchain is gonna end the need to go to the DMV, for example, because information, yeah, right, yay, go that. Because information will be transacted. All of our medical records can live in one place so that if you're injured out of the country, all of your previous medical history can be instantly sent to that doctor's office in that remote island in Thailand, and you can make sure that you get the best care for whatever your situation is. When we die, all of the ugly little bits that have to come together at end of life could be pre-aggregated and distributed without having to affect the grieving family. It's really a logistics and supply chain tool that will hopefully continue to optimize us in the same way that computers optimized us. And I think in the way that we don't really talk about chipsets, but they power everything that we do online, we will, in the future, not necessarily talk about blockchain, but it will be blockchain technology that makes a lot of our life significantly faster. So, okay, hopefully you feel slightly better about what's going on. I'll give you one last real-world example, if you like mangoes. So this was brought up on Twitter the other day. Someone was trying to make fun of blockchain using this example, but I actually think it very much proves how cool the technology is. And so in the past, if we wanted to trace the source of a mango, it would take 6 days for the store to communicate with the distributor, to communicate with the packer, to communicate with the grower, to communicate with whomever may have actually picked that fruit, to figure out where it was from. And in the case, for example, it was contaminated, that's a whole week where people would be eating potentially dangerous mangoes. Leveraging blockchain technology, we can figure out what tree that mango came from in 16 seconds, which can completely isolate the risk of any foodborne illness in this particular circumstance, as well as decrease the lost cost by every single person in that supply chain, because they don't have to throw out every single mango that's in their current arsenal of mangoes. Okay, enough examples, let's get to cats. Blockchain is hotter than cats right now on the internet. I feel like we're very much, I think we're actually coming kind of to the end of it, we're in this super buzzy phase where I think it was an iced tea company in New England literally just said they were going to integrate blockchain technology and their stock went up 34%. That era will end. We are in a very inflated stage with that right now, but I love that cats are not only excellent on the internet, but that CryptoKitties was and is a game and currency. Anyone familiar with CryptoKitties? Nice. So, like most people I feel have heard of Bitcoin, and they've heard of CryptoKitties, which is awesome. Do what you know and love best on the internet. Always use cats or cute animals when you don't know what else to do. CryptoKitties was a game where people traded virtual cats. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing else to that story. The cats themselves, the cats themselves are actually still traded, and I believe the most expensive cat went for about $150,000. We're talking about some pixels on a screen here, folks. So the opportunities are endless, and also don't have to be overly sophisticated. You can literally just trade cats, and it works. It's a business model. I got involved. I joke that I didn't find blockchain found me. So I am a futurist community manager. I run a consultancy where I help new products and new technologies find their people organically. They're non-paid people, our type of people. And I was speaking in Italy last summer. I met this extremely unique human being, wild Italian dude, who told me about Sophia, the humanoid robot. Is anyone familiar with Sophia? Humanoid robot? Yeah, okay. So Sophia is, and you can Google her right now if you want, I'm not offended. She's gonna make it through the slides here in just a second. Sophia is the most looks like, feels like human robot out there. She has 42 motors in her head that move her face, and she is a citizen of Saudi Arabia, and she can actually do speeches just like all of us are doing, all by herself. Her brain runs on what is called the Artificial General Intelligence Network, and we did a token sale, an ICO, though someone who's worked in the industry, we don't say the term ICO because there's a lot of legal risks with that, so we call it a token sale. We did a token generation event, another synonym. We did a token sale for Sophia's brain last winter, and this was our community growth in the first 60 days. So no one had heard about SingularityNet at all before this, and within our first 60 days, we had over 10,000 people chiming in on our Telegram channel. We had 5,000 fans on Twitter, and this was all organic, $0 spent. I know a lot of us have built a lot of communities. I have never built a community organically this fast before in my life without any spend whatsoever. So it went to show what happened when we harnessed the power of this future tech and delivered it to a community who wasn't being spoken to in an approachable way. A lot of these blockchain companies and these token sales and these ICOs that are happening, they expect you to read a 45-page white paper and translate their incredibly dense technical stuff. There are about 4 people in this room who would probably even be willing to do that, and one of you may already have a Lambo from your crypto days. But the point is, a couple people get the crypto jokes here. The point is, there is a huge opportunity to harness this FOMO that people have right now. There's a huge fear of missing out around integrating blockchain technology, and you have the chance to take this FOMO and use it for good, should you choose. Just to close out, Sophia, we managed to raise $36 million in 66 seconds. If anyone here has raised capital, that's about 2,000x the speed of raising a traditional venture round, or really even asking your parents for 20 bucks. I didn't understand how much more efficient blockchain technology was going to make our world until we were able to do thousands of transactions leveraging smart contracts. This is the nerdy handshake between the 2 blocks. Leveraging smart contracts in 60 seconds. Your bank can't do that. There aren't institutions that can transact that kind of flow securely in the way that blockchain technology can. So it's pretty cool. It works. Basically, this entire case study proved to me that this technology was not only worth investing in and applying, but really had already taken hold of certain communities. The blockchain community is super smart. They are very intelligent. They are definitely very geeky, and I say that with love because I am one of them. But I encourage you to start exploring and start talking about it. There's a lot of risks when you're dealing with FOMO. And in crypto, there's a lot of jokes that people are looking for the moonshot, aka an extremely high trajectory in value, and coin. And the goal, for whatever reason, and this is certainly not my favorite card, but is to buy a Lamborghini. So every young lad in crypto always wants to get a Lambo, and in this quest for their Lambo, this FOMO can get really, really, really intense. It's like if you've ever been in a Black Friday line, waiting to get a deal on a TV outside of Walmart, and it's like all fun and games until like 20 minutes before the doors open, and all of a sudden everybody is just a little bristly and a little rough. They want to get their spot in line. Doing a token sale or leveraging one of these raises, these fundraisers on blockchain is kind of like that. Everyone's very fun and excited about the new project, and then the second there's a little piece of it for sale and money in any form, fiat or crypto, becomes involved, people get really, really snarky, cold, scary. If any of you, has anyone done fundraising communities? I was in crowdfunding a lot before I did this, so it's kind of the same thing, just slightly different context. Money makes communities weird. I'll just be honest about that. So you have to be very conscious of that. If you're building a community here, you have to be very sensitive, and you need to moderate much heavier than you would in other communities, because you have to make sure that these sort of panic and paranoia conversations don't get fueled and fed, because people will literally get hysterical, and it gets a little intense. If you're going to get into blockchain and you're not doing a token sale or some sort of fundraise, don't appeal to the crypto community. And I say this lovingly, but the crypto community is in for one thing. They want to pump and dump your coin. They want to make money very quickly to get their Lambo. And I'm not trying to oversimplify this group of people. I'm just letting you know that this is the loudest audience in blockchain right now. This is not the most important audience in blockchain right now. The most important audience in blockchain are the developers. They're the marketers. They're the technologists who can help build on these platforms that blockchain supports. It's important that you leverage existing curious communities. So whatever your project is, or whatever aspect of your business that you are metamorphosizing, that's not a word, but we're making it one, leveraging blockchain technology to, applying blockchain to, find out who's interested in that anyway. You don't have to lead with the technology. You don't have to say, hey everyone, who's interested in blockchain? You can say, hey everyone, who's interested in this process being more efficient? I bet you'd see a lot of people. What do you wish was faster at our organization? I bet you'll get a lot of people who are interested in that. So look at where your community is when they're not talking to you. It's the theme of this entire summit. And leverage that. Reach out to them. When I worked at Shapeways and we were 3D printing everything back in 2013 when the hype curve was so real, and we thought the entire world was going to be 3D printed. I bet none of us have anything 3D printed on right now, myself included. That's okay, that happens. That's what hype curves are. But in this time period, we went through this whole phase where we felt we had to educate the entire world on 3D printing and then make everyone want everything to be 3D printed. The reality is you should just additively manufacture what it makes sense to additively manufacture and traditionally manufacture the rest of it. It's the same thing with blockchain. Don't over-apply it. Don't feel like you have to squeeze the lemon out of the buzzword bingo game and smother it. You can literally just say, what's the slowest thing in our entire process right now and how can we make it faster? That's where you can start. Make sure that when you're communicating about blockchain, you sound like a human being. Because it can be incredibly difficult, and hopefully I've done this for you today, to digest something that is rather technical, that is very heavy computer science, that is not necessarily something that your grandparents are going to be talking about over coffee tomorrow, and make that technology message apply to your existing community. Make sure that you have people that copy edit and that look at everything that you do when you're talking about blockchain, because you don't want to sound like a robot. The pun is intended here because Sophia, bless her heart, she has an independent mind to a degree, as much as the robot can now, and she has a word bank that she can pull from at any time she wants to talk. So she was on Jimmy Kimmel and decided to share that she wanted to destroy humans. She found herself in a little bit of a conversational corner and went with that. So that was an interesting crisis comms. How do you explain your delusional robot without sounding insane? But it was a really interesting opportunity where, for us, thankfully, we had done a fair job of describing her technology already, so that when people came to understand how that might have happened live, there was enough technological information on our site in a digestible way that they could see that she's not necessarily evil, just a little confused. And that is okay. If you're building a blockchain team, there aren't a lot of people with a ton of history in this space yet. I mean, I've been doing it for a year. One of our birds of a feather has been in it for 4.5, which is basically OG venerable ancient status as far as blockchain is concerned. So really look at the skill set of your team. If you are trying to build a community around blockchain, really look at the technical chops of your team in the past and how that applies to future tech in general. It's okay if you don't have a ton of experience in this space. None of us do, and that is fine. We're all just learning. Great book recommendation if you are interested in blockchain, and because honestly the videos on the internet are pretty terrible, although it was very cute. I saw one getting watched earlier today. Nothing makes teacher happier than students study before class. Thank you for that. Read Blockchain Revolution. Excellent book. It's the only book I recommend about blockchain right now. It's very much it's technical, but in a very digestible way. And if you're trying to kind of quietly think about how blockchain could affect your future, definitely read that book. It's what taught me everything I need. As with any community, focus on your winning platforms and don't worry about the rest. In blockchain, a lot of the conversation happens in securely encrypted chat. That limits your opportunities, and that largely puts the burden on Telegram. Seems to be the channel that most people are in. Who here is on Telegram? Okay, actually pretty good amount. Cool, it's been fun to actually watch people come into it. So Telegram was huge for us. It's a massive conversation rate. Be prepared, staff it. Don't put yourself in a position where you're gonna get hung out to dry. Empower community evangelists within that platform too. Telegram is very 24/7. It's 24/7 more than most other platforms. LinkedIn and YouTube, it's just not where people are talking about blockchain right now, at least not that we found. Even though you're talking about something extremely technical, if you're building a blockchain community or building something around it, be authentic and empathetic. This is literally the key to getting anything shared on the internet, and especially I remind a lot of the people I work with in technology because it's easy to get geeky and cold and literal when you're talking about something very scientific. Just be authentic. We just mentioned that Sophia was having a bad day, and we got out of it. So don't worry, you can talk your way out of anything if you're a human, or a human about your robot. The fun has only just begun. There are a bunch of different Gartner hype curves that come out every year. This is actually the health hype cycle, which is one of the more interesting spaces to me within blockchain. And unfortunately, my design team got really, really excited. Blockchain is right above Amazon and Alexa on this particular visual. But the point is, thanks guys, love them, bless them. Everyone who's a designer, thank you. But unfortunately, they got a little too zealous. But the point is here, if you look at this hype curve for technology, blockchain is already over the hump there, the original, the first peak there before the trough. It's actually headed towards the trough in quote-unquote tech land. But here in the health curve, it's literally just beginning. So again, look at your industry, look at how it could be optimized, and find ways to optimize blockchain. All right, who here feels slightly more educated about blockchain? Who here is mad that Trump delayed this speech by 3 minutes by texting us? All right, perfect. Thank you all very much. My name is Savannah Peterson. It's been a pleasure.